the Football Postcast in association with Paddy Power, the place to bet on football in play with a huge special every weekend.
Hello there, welcome along. It's the Racing Post Football Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington. I'm joined in the studio by Henry Hardwick and Mark Langdon from the Racing Post Sports Desk. And over in Ireland from Paddy Power, we've got Ed Quigley, who's got all the odds, including the outright show on the FA Cup, for it is FA Cup weekend. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 live ties out of the 16. And the way the draw went, it's actually quite difficult to pick one decent one. It was a really, really weird draw. It just threw up all sorts of fairly unattractive games. But there's loads of great betting opportunities. I'm sure the lads will be festooning you with tips in the coming minutes. First of all, though, it's the 6 questions, 2 each, and then they get to answer the one they wish they'd been asked. Henry Hardwick, we'll start with you. Arsenal fan, so I suspect I know how you're going to answer this. Olivier Giroud's goal against Palace, fluke or the goal of the season?
Goal of the season, I think. I mean, there was an element of luck, but he has
a massive element of luck.
Yeah, but he has attempted to do that, hasn't he? Yeah. He's not just hit him and gone in. He's attempted to do that. And
do you think he picked his spot?
No, I wouldn't go that far. But I think a bit of both. But I think on the balance, I'd go with goal of the season. I mean, he has tried to play it that way. He's not tried to control it. He has actually gone for goal. And it's not just hit him and gone in. I think it was a great goal.
How did you feel when the third goal went in against Bournemouth and he started cavorting around like a pont instead of getting the ball out of the net?
I do like Drew as an Arsenal fan. I mean, obviously, I could talk about Arsenal all day, but it is getting me down a bit at the moment.
What would Ferguson have done, do you think, if one of his players at 3
he would have been on the pitch.
He would have hooked him, wouldn't it? Yeah. Ridiculous. Mark, your question. You're a Tottenham fan, so you're probably delighted after last night. Are Spurs potential champions now?
I'd still hungover as well.
Did you go?
I didn't go, no. You can see just so much more on TV. So you can drink during the 90 minutes as well, can't you? They are, I suppose, potential champions, and they've just beaten the champions pretty convincingly. They've got all of their key players back, and last season they actually got stronger as the campaign went on until the wobble right at the end. I still don't fancy them purely because of there's so much quality around this season, and I don't think the squad depth is good enough, really. We've seen that this season.
Particularly?
Well, they just haven't got a natural replacement for Dembele. There just aren't that many players like him around. When Kane's not been fit, the whole team seems to fall apart in as much as, Dele Alli's not seen to his best. Even if Kane's not playing well himself, he occupies defenders like Janssen can't. And also, Alderweireld just makes a big difference to the defence. There's so much calmer when he's there. So,
what would you buy in January? What if you could buy one sort of player or a specific individual?
Well, I think a central midfielder, really, because Harry Winks has done quite well when he's come in, but he's not the sort of player. Chelsea bringing on Fabregas last night. I know he didn't make a big difference in the end, but that's an area that would concern.
Not a striker.
No, because
Kane gets injured.
Yeah, but I just don't know who you can bring in. I mean, this is Tottenham's big problem, really, in that the kind of player now that would want to go to them, there isn't really anybody there to make them that much better. They've kind of got the best of their level of player around, and they've brought in the likes of Janssen, Sissoko to deepen the squad, but it doesn't really make it any better. They're in a bit of a weird position. They haven't got that much money to spend. The wages they pay isn't as great as some of the clubs around them. So they're after a kind of calibre of player that can't improve their starting 11.
Where will they finish then, Mark?
I keep on moving everybody around at the moment. I think maybe 5th still.
Really? I think you're being too pessimistic.
But I don't think there's not going to be much between 1st and 6th, is there? Really? It's going to be a heaped finish. I've written about it a couple of weeks ago. I think Arsenal were definitely the value not to make the top 4. I mean that price is completely gone now. But I'd that's where I'd be looking to
I don't
bet
fancy us
it.
at all for top 4. I mean, we've got fixture-wise, we've got a much tougher second half of the season, and we are worst place of all.
If you're saying
Spurs
are going to finish in the top 4, you then got to pick 2 that are not going to finish in it. And
I'll tell you who one of them will be: Liverpool, the most overrated out of all those top 6. The love-in for Liverpool is ridiculous. So, they are great. I love Klopp very much, but that defence and keeper combo is easily the weakest out of all those 6 teams. I don't see how they can possibly win the title with that defence and keeper. Anyway, we move on. Ed, a Blackburn fan. Mark was very hungover after Spurs' win the other night. What were you like after Blackburn's fantastic performance?
Yeah, no, it was unreal. I was saying there last week that if we could play Newcastle every week, we'd done a double on this season already, we'd actually probably win the bloody championship. But yeah, no, it's phenomenal. Newcastle absolutely battered us. I think they had 25 shots on goal. But we managed to keep a clean sheet and beat them 1-0. Yeah, surprising. Very
and
surprising
how good a
stuff.
result was that for the betting industry, do you think?
Oh yeah, it was huge. Newcastle and Liverpool drawing as well against Sunderland. There were massive swings in P&L, because obviously lost a fair few quid over Christmas. But I don't know what it is about Stephen's Day, but it just seems to be always a great day for the punters. But we got a few quid back that day in the end. All right.
Jolly good. Henry, I haven't seen you since Christmas. Presumably you bet and drunk fairly heavily?
Yeah.
Which of those two provided you with your worst moment of Christmas, betting or drinking? We read Steve Palmer's column on Sunday where he had an absolute nightmare because one of his wife's uncles brought out a bottle of Armagnac or something, and he was drinking that, and Steve's only got one pace of drinking, so drinking it like it was lager, and it all went desperately wrong. Did you have any meltdowns? Or was it all
well, it was a bit
controlled?
both. They were related, really. I was at King George on Boxing Day, so I backed the winner of the last, backed a couple of winners there, so I was absolutely flying, which meant obviously you drink loads more. So yeah, ended up sort of out to the early hours in the mate's house on Boxing Day, and the next day was pretty horrible. Yeah.
Did you vomit?
I didn't vomit, no, but I think sometimes it's better if you vomit. If you get it out, you can start afresh. But it was one of those that was just sort of lingering around all day, and you can't shake it off. Yeah,
and the older you get, the worse hangovers
they
get,
do,
don't
yeah,
they? How old are you
definitely,
now, Henry?
31.
31, blimey.
Yeah, I know I don't look it, but
You
yeah,
don't. You look at least 38. Mark, is it Marco Silva or Mario? I can't remember, the new Hull manager.
Yes,
What's he called?
Marco,
God.
isn't it?
It's Marco Silva. Will he be the saviour of Hull? If you don't even know his name, I expect you to know everything there is to know about him because you are the most knowledgeable man in British football.
No, he's been out the game for a little while now, hasn't he? He did well at Estoril in Portugal, which enabled, and I suppose that would probably be a similar type job really to the one he's coming in at. Where he hasn't got the budget like when he went to Olympiacos. When he went to Olympiacos, that's just such an easy job because they win the double, win the league every year. So
I must admit, I don't follow good. They're much better than Panathinaikos now.
Yeah. There's
are they Celtic to Panathinaikos' Rangers?
Yeah, there has been, and AEK Athens dropped out of the league, so they would probably be an even sort of better relationship there to Rangers. Yeah, they're like miles better than the rest now. So that's a nothing job. The fact is, was it a 6-month contract they tried to give him? That shows that there isn't that much faith in what he can do.
I actually quite like that. I think that's the way forward with football managers. All this nonsense about signing a 3-year contract because they've got no incentive then. No, they're down tools.
But you just wonder whether the players will just think, well, he's not going to be here, so what does it matter?
You're pretty down on Hull anyway, aren't you?
I actually felt in the last couple of weeks, I thought Phelan was getting it right. They played quite well against City, deserved their point against Everton. They dominated West Brom for a large part of that game, really. I don't think it was a 3-1 affair. So I was a bit surprised, actually, that in the end that they got rid of him. I don't think it mattered. You could put like Mourinho or Guardiola or Simeone in charge of Hull, and I think they'd be relegated because they've got worse players than most of the other teams in the Premier League.
Ed, what's the latest relegation betting from Paddy Power?
Okay, so Hull are still favourites, obviously. They're 1-7. Sunderland 8-15. Swansea 8-15. And Burnley are 3-1. Your boys, Palace, Bruce are 16-5. And then Middlesbrough 5s, Watford 7s. And it's 18s bar then.
Any value there, chaps? Watford 7s, I could have a bit of that,
Yeah, there's quite a big gap though, isn't there now between the bottom sides, then Palace, and then above them. Burnley just sort of have gone quite a long way clear now. Middlesbrough, and they seem to be able to grow out results at home, so it's going to be difficult for those sides down there to catch them, I would have thought.
Yeah, I mean, Sunderland are in a world of pain if they lose Defoe.
Defoe,
I mean,
yeah.
I know from a business point of view it would make sense to sell, somebody of that age, but who are they going to bring in to? He hasn't actually scored that many goals from open play this season, but I mean, who are they going to bring in to score?
And how much are they going to get for him, really? I mean, if they
Yeah.
sell him for $5 million, for example, I mean, they're going to get relegated if they sell him, and what's the point of the $5 million?
I agree. I mean, I suppose the one. I mean, Swansea have probably got the best talent to get out of it, but I'm just not sure really about them. I think that was a lovely time to play Palace. I mean, the fixture list was horrendous. I was amazed Allardyce picked his strongest team against Arsenal. I thought he was going to chuck that
we
game.
got a legs run off as
Yeah,
against
I
Arsenal,
also
and-
I think had he been in charge for like 2 months, he would have chucked the Arsenal game because he was newly in. He didn't, and it definitely.
We've
they
got so much injury problems at the moment, though. So
Yeah.
Anyway, all right then. We won't dwell on relegation. Ed, one last question for you. If listeners could do one thing to make them better football punters in 2017, what would it be?
I guess, yeah, I could probably go down. It's been mentioned before in the podcast. Well, like goal scorer betting, definitely. There's definitely ricks out there with rivals and quite possibly with ourselves too. Because it's hard to keep on top of databases and all that. Like I've spotted a few this weekend, even in our own model, and I'll be mentioning them later. Don't worry on the podcast. But yeah, like it's just team news is massive. Like say for example, like Iheanacho started last Saturday against Burnley, and like they were 5s on for the game, and he was 4-1 to score first because bookmakers were anticipating that Aguero was going to start. But so he was cracking value, even though he didn't. He got hooked when Fernandinho got sent off. But like, I mean, he said it was a cracking bet. Like, so I'd be looking at that. The other thing is outrights as well, is where you make is where you can make serious money. I think that's where I make most of mine anyway. The few quid I do make. Bookmakers don't react to like. West Brom are still, I think, available at 66s with some firms for the FA Cup, for example. I mean, West Brom have they're really outdoing themselves so far this year, and Tony Pulis does take it seriously. So, they just don't react to kind of recent form.
How does it work? Does someone come in and they say, "All right, your job this week's to do the outrights," and say, "Oh God, I can't be arsed," and they kind of get round to it in the end? Is it almost like an afterthought updating these anti-post markets?
Well, I suppose every bookmaker's under pressure to have the most amount of product up there insofar as outrights, and then getting them right is the thing though. A lot of them price things up wrong or have each way terms wrong as well. So and like say the FA Cup will go up back in August and no one looks at it then till maybe someone will look at it the second round, but generally people don't look at it till the third round draw is made. And I mean, it's quite sloppy, across the whole industry.
I'm glad to hear this sloppiness, and that creates edges. So, first goal scorers and outrights. That's the thing to keep your eye on. Okay, thank you very much, Ed. Henry, which question are you going to take out of that lot?
Yeah, I'll take that bottom one. Pretty simple. Just don't bet on games involving Everton. Every single time I can remember having a bet for Everton. I mean, I really fancied Arsenal to beat him. Obviously, they've done the job there. And every other big team they play, I back them against them and they never do anything. It's just like an absolute...
Who did I back him against the other night and they failed? Hull, wasn't it?
Yeah. Hull, yeah.
And you'd gone with Hull. I flew in the face of Mark Langdon. Honestly.
It's impossible to call him.
And they've got that hippie. They've started picking a hippie, haven't they? What's he called?
Davis.
Tom Davis.
Tom Davis has definitely improved their midfield.
He's
good. Yeah, he's definitely. I mean, I've got Everton right last couple of games. Yeah, well, the Southampton one. I mean, they were 13-10 to beat a team that was playing their third game in 6 days. So I mean. I know. I quite like.
Is he Welsh or English?
I don't know.
He's great because he has his socks down. He's got like I say, a hippie sort of surfer dude haircut.
He definitely brings enthusiasm to their midfield. I mean, Barry's so pedestrian, isn't he? In there, I quite like him. Yeah,
that's great. It's about time football had a hippie. We haven't had one for ages. Mark, which question are you?
I'll take that one as well. I'll go for ignore the score. I think we get. So obsessed with the final result rather than the process that led to it. Just because a team loses a couple of games in a row. I mean, I think the market is more sophisticated now in that it is about the process of who's having most possession, more shots, and stuff like that. And I just feel that you you can get too sidetracked by what the actual score is. Over time, if teams make the right process, they'll get more results right. If you know what I mean.
What's a good way of looking at a result then and saying, well, that was a false result?
A basic way would be to just look at to look at the shots. I mean, in terms of Premier League and Championship, you can look at shot location, which I think is quite important as well. But if you're just doing it basically, if you just go down, have a look at the shots and then the shots on target, it will give you a kind of an overall picture. And I think over time, if you write down even if you don't use the computer, if you just write down teams that are dominating and the shot stats and are weak on it, you'll kind of get a picture of which teams are maybe being unlucky. I mean, I spoke to a League Two manager actually at the Eclipse Day at Sandown, and he was saying that the stats are massively important to him, and he told the players at Christmas last year that if they just keep doing what they're doing, eventually the results will come, and that they did for him as well.
Excellent. Ed, which one are you going to answer?
Yeah, I'll take the one on Giroud. I agree with Henry. I don't obviously there was a little bit of luck involved in it and getting it on target, but it was a class goal, and you could apply that to every shot that's on target. Really, to be honest, yeah, you could apply it to anything, and I just think I don't know about the celebration now, celebrating 3-3, but yeah, I mean it was a quality goal in fairness.
Do you think it will be goal of the season, Ed?
Yeah, I guess. Well, I suppose the other contender is Mkhitaryan, is it? Or that was offside, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. There was a team element to the Arsenal
Zaha
goal
versus Hull. Brilliant goal.
Yeah, Giroud started the move as well, didn't he? So
it was a great team goal.
It will be the goal of the season, won't it?
Probably,
I'm not sure it deserves to be, but there you go. Okay, right. Before we get stuck into the weekend's live matches, we better have a look at who's going to win the FA Cup. And before the lads give their verdict, Ed Quigley gives a nice deep show from Paddy Power.
Okay, so Chelsea are 11-2, Liverpool are 13-2, City are 13-2 as well, United 7-1, Arsenal 8-1, Tottenham 10s, Southampton 25, Southampton Everton are 25s, Stoke are 33s, Palace, your boys Bruce, are 40s, Leicester 40s, Bournemouth 40s, West Ham 50s, West Brom 50s as well, and Middlesbrough 60s.
Okay,
60s barely.
We'll start with you, Ed. We'll start with you, Henry. You can have a shorty and a long shot, okay?
Okay, well, we'll go with a long shot. Watford 75-1 with Paddy Power, I think. They were 66-1 this time last year, made the semi-finals against Palace. I don't really see what's changed between last season and this season. They're still pretty much exactly the same side. At the moment, they've got a lot of injuries, so that their form's tailed off a bit, but those players will come back as the season goes on. Got a nice third-round home draw against Burton. And I think they're a big old price. And the shorty, I will go with probably Manchester United. I think of all the big sides, they're probably the best place to challenge, really. Arsenal started the season looking out like they have a big squad, but they've got quite a few injuries at the moment. Liverpool, again, the squad maybe it's not there. As Mark said, Spurs, maybe the squad there. Manchester United have got a huge squad. They've basically got 2 11s. We've seen that in sort of when they've rested a few in the Europa League. Still a very strong side. So, yeah, Manchester United and Watford would be my 2.
Mark?
I haven't got any short ones, Bruce. I've just got 3 long ones.
Okay,
I'm going to go for Stoke. We've got home to Wolves in the 3rd round. Bournemouth, who are at Millwall, and Middlesbrough, who are at home to Sheffield Wednesday. Middlesbrough have done okay. They've landed a couple of decent shocks in the last couple of years.
Just to prove that I'm not going to be copying you in a minute.
But the main one of those 3 would be Bournemouth. I think now is the time Eddie Howe. He's played weak teams in this competition before, but I mean, there's no chance of them being relegated. They're not going to qualify for Europe. They're in that really safe zone. Millwall away is not an easy start, but their squad now, Bournemouth, is getting better. Gosling, Adam Smith, players like that were probably first choice before, and now just coming into the squads of Afobe, Wilson, you got Ibe as well. So they've got a lot of players that maybe don't play all the time now. So I just think Bournemouth are probably the best team outside I think Bournemouth
outside the 6.
Well, I think if Bournemouth played Everton, I wouldn't say that Everton are any better than Bournemouth, for instance.
No, I hear that completely. Ed, who are you going to go for?
Yeah, so my short one is going to be Tottenham at 10-1. I just hope they'll chuck the Europa League and just go for the league and the FA Cup. I mean, they only got to the 5th round last season. They were actually beaten by Palace, but they started playing closer and closer to their first team as the competition progressed. And as my outsider then, I would go with West Brom at, well, it's 50s with us, but there is 66s out there still. I just think they're really outdoing themselves this year, and Tony Pulis took it seriously last season as well. I mean, as well, just on the back of that, there's 4 all Premier League ties this weekend, so we're going to be only left with 16 Premier League teams at the end of it, at the very least, or the very most rather. And then, like, I've a note here just saying Palace, Bournemouth, Southampton, Borough and West Brom, in fairness, all have tricky ties. There's talks of Arsenal resting all their stars against Preston too, so like it could be left wide open come the 4th round.
Okay, no, excellent stuff. I'm going to go for Man U as my shorty. I echo what Henry says, deep squad, progressive, and he tends to take it seriously. And I think Middlesbrough, really nice team, very tight team. I think that, they've still got to get out of relegation, unlike Bournemouth. But I think they're, Middlesbrough, 66 or 50s?
60s with us, yeah.
60s, yeah, that'll do for me. Okay, and they've got Sheffield Wednesday at home on Sunday, which is winnable. Right, okay, there's one live game on Friday, and it's arguably the tie of the round, actually. 7:55 at the London Stadium. It's West Ham versus Manchester City. And Ed Quigley had a Paddy Power bet on this one.
So West Ham are 4-1, the draw is 3-1, and City are 8-13.
We'll stick with you, Ed. What's going to happen?
Yeah, well, I guess it's a tough one to call. I think both teams will make changes. Bilic played a mixed team in last year's 3rd round fixture. It's hard to know what way Pep will go. Obviously, they have a massive squad and plenty of depth there, quality depth as well. But I reckon all the reports I'm reading is that, I've mentioned him already, Iheanacho is going to start. And I mean, yeah, he's one of the best goals to minutes ratio of any Premier League player in Premier League history, albeit over a small data set. But he averages a goal every 96 minutes. He scored 4 goals in 3 games in the FA Cup last year, including a hat-trick against Villa in the 4th round. So he's 9-2 first goal scorer, 11-10 any time, 11-2 two or more, and 18-1 hat-trick. I'd back him for the lot if he starts.
Henry, sorry, what's your view on this one?
I like West Ham. I mean, obviously you're going to have to wait you might want to wait for team news, but then, let's face it, the bookmakers are going to get quicker in terms of the match prices than we are. So, I think you just take a chance now and back them at a big price. Looking at City when they played United in a League Cup, which is pretty much as big a game as they can get in the Cup, they rested a lot of players. Maffeo, Garcia started. And West Ham were pretty strong against Chelsea in the Cup, but pretty strong against Man United in the League Cup. They won 3 on the bounce, and prior to losing to Leicester, which they were unlucky. The sending off changed the game against Manchester United, and I think they can certainly cause a City side that's only kept 2 clean sheets and 16 away matches this season. There's a lot of problems.
All right, Mark.
Yeah, I was looking.
Are you doing this for the paper, Mark?
I will be, yeah. I mean, hopefully we'll have a bit more team news to go out by the time, because we're speaking before any of that's come out. But I was looking at City to win with both teams to score as the angle. Henry's already mentioned City's defensive woes. West Ham have scored in 8 of their 13 defeats this season. That includes games against Chelsea, Manchester United, Tottenham, Arsenal and Man City. Away. So, I mean, it does depend to some extent how strong West Ham are going to be. The fact that they've got a free week after this suggests that they there's no reason to rest loads of players, I wouldn't have thought. And Bilic could probably do with a result, really. I mean, he's definitely got to be under some kind of pressure. I nearly said Upton Park there. He's got to be under some kind of pressure, I would have thought. But I just don't think that they're good enough to get the result. I mean, Manchester United were punted, absolutely smashed off the boards to beat them in that game. I was amazed they went off so short, but I mean, they eventually got the job done. I think City will win, but I just don't trust the defence.
Okay, doke. We'll have a look at the other Manchester club in just a mo.
Check out Paddy Power's latest football offer. Bet £20 on either team to win in Friday's West Ham v Man City FA Cup match and get a £5 free bet for every goal they score. Not available in shops. T&Cs apply. 18+. Gambleware.co.uk.
Hi there, Bruce Millington, Henry Hardwick, Mark Langdon, and from Paddy Power, Ed Quigley are looking ahead to the 2 Saturday live FA Cup ties. Starting at 12:30, Man United are on telly again. That is written into the statute book. They have to be on telly in the FA Cup. I think we go back to, is it 2001 the last time they weren't on? It's a long time, isn't it?
It's like
55 games or something. I mean, I think in this instance it's probably just about okay. Just because of what I said with the draw. It's been so weird, hasn't it, Mark? So unlucky just how few glamour-ties there are.
Yeah, I mean, I suppose Yap Stam going back to Old Trafford would be another reason for it to be on TV as well. I mean, and Reading are going well in the Championship. So, yeah, I think this is it's certainly more justified than, say, Liverpool against Plymouth that we've got coming up on Sunday. I was looking for this game, the first goal to arrive after 22 minutes, in the hope that United do rest a couple of their big hitters, particularly someone like Ibrahimovic.
Got to give Ibra a rest.
You would have
they?
thought so. I mean, he's been on the go all over Christmas. And Reading are just the possession kings in the Championship. They're top of that particular table. They keep the ball. They control games. I think they'll try to do that even against Manchester United, and just slow the game down. And
I think arguably, Mark, for those Championship teams, when they play Premier League teams, if they are possession teams, they actually find it a little bit easier because they tend to get less pressing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm assuming that United won't be at full throttle as well for an early kickoff game. And Reading are a team that can just, like I say, slow the game down. I mean, they played Leeds earlier on this season, and so the Leeds fans were laughing that they just kept passing the ball between themselves at the defence, and Leeds won the game 2-0 just by, they scored early and then just let Reading have the ball for the entire game. Jaap Stam said afterwards he'd rather lose than play like Leeds do. So, I mean, I think that's his philosophy on what he's looking to do. I don't think he'll change that philosophy, and I actually thought he may have been in line for like the Swansea job, given the type of football that they want to play, and I think he'll look to advertise that. Don't see them causing an upset, but they might be able to keep it respectable.
First goal after the what?
It's after 22 minutes.
It's pretty early, isn't it?
I think it's early enough. Yeah.
Okay. Tom Siegel, the celebrity Reading fan. Is he Reading's? Oh, he's obviously the most celebrity Racing Post Reading fan. Have they got a famous fan, Reading? Just trying to think.
John Medeski.
Cilla Black used to be in the crowd.
Black,
I don't know if she was famous, but she used to be in the crowd.
She's friends with
John Medeski.
John.
She used to often be in the
I mean,
crowd.
she's got to be. She's got to be Liverpool or Everton.
She's not with us anymore, unfortunately. But we'll have Tom Siegel. He says that he hates the Reading style of play.
I tipped him a couple of weeks ago, and he emailed me and said we're useless. So
it can't be useless.
Can't be useless.
I mean, they went off a big price against Bristol City. They don't have many shots for all their possession, so I can imagine it might be a bit frustrating watching them play. But hopefully they can be boring enough for 22 minutes.
What's the bet, Henry? Here,
I like United minus 1.75 on the Asian handicap. As Mark said, Reading, they are going quite well in the Championship, but they've shipped 13 goals in their last 6 matches. Also, they've struggled away from home as well. They've lost at Leeds, they've lost at Fulham, lost at Villa, lost at Brentford, lost at Wolves. And I think this is a massive step up in class against United, who have got a squad. So, they can rest players and still put out a very, very decent side. And then, obviously, they've got Hull in the League Cup coming up. So, they've got a fairly easy schedule there. So, I think...
Let's test you out on Asian handicap explanation. What does 1.75 mean?
So, 1 3/4 of a goal. So, we need 2 goals and we got it. 1 goal, we lose a quarter of a stake, 3/4 of a stake. So
no. He's fallen apart there, man. Completely fallen.
I need that
apart.
little thing that goes in the paper.
Yeah, you do. 1.75. If they win by 2, you win half, don't you, Mark?
You do, yeah.
And then and if they win by 3, you get the lot. If they win by 1, you get nothing.
Yeah.
Still happy with that?
Yeah, I'm happy with that. Yeah. Well, anyway, Reading played Arsenal in the League Cup, a weakened Arsenal side. They lost by 2 goals, and I expect a similar outcome here.
Okay, Ed, what's Paddy Power's market assessment, and what's your assessment?
Yeah, United are 1-5. The draw is 5-1, and Reading are 13-1. Yeah, I mean, I actually think the United price looks a bit of value here. I mean, they went off 2-9 at home to Borough. I'd have Borough a far better team than Reading in the league there only recently. Reading's SP prices week in, week out in the Championship show that they're really outdoing themselves to be sitting in third in the champ. United are improving at a rate of knots. Small bit lethargic against West Ham, but they got the job done. United, even if they do make changes, I think will have enough here. And Reading might even make changes themselves, given their lofty position in the champ. Reading have only kept clean sheets in the champ against Preston, Cardiff, Birmingham, Huddersfield, Rotherham, Forest, Wigan and Burton. They're largely, bar 3 of those teams, they're largely the lower level of the champ. I don't think they'll keep one against United, and United -2 at 13-8 would be my bet here. Also, Martial if Martial starts at and Zlatan and Rashford don't, I think that 4-1 on him first goal scorer is a cracking bet too.
Do you like Can you get for calling it the champ, lads? Will you?
Well,
I quite like that.
If you can call it the Prem, you've got to be able to call it the champ.
Can you have the Prem?
It's better than Premiership.
I call it the Prem. My mate Paddy absolutely wrecks me for it, but loads of people call it that.
Yeah,
I quite like the champ as well.
Yeah,
I might start calling it that.
we've got the champ
got the
in
champ
the
on
office.
the- champ on our desk.
Champ
Yeah.
on the desk. He's
Yeah,
called the
no, I
champ.
can have the champ. Right, 5:30. Preston from the champ. Entertain. Actually, oh God, I hate that. Entertain.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Oh,
Like they're going to
welcome.
be carrying a tray of vol au vent around or something like that. Receive, as Kevin Pulleen correctly calls it, Arsenal, and that's at 5:30. And again, if Man United was short early on, I guess Arsenal are shortish, but not quite so short. Ed Quigley.
So Preston are 7-1, the draw is 4-1, and Arsenal are 1-3.
1-3. Will you be lumping on there, Ed, having cleaned up on Man U?
Not a hope. There's a lot of reports coming out of Arsenal that like Sanchez, Koscielny, and Ozil will all be rested. Walcott's injured. I actually think this 1-3 is going to drift a good bit. I think it could go off 8-13 if they do rest all them. A couple of ways to play this. If that's I genuinely think that's definitely what's going to occur, because Wenger was complaining about the fixture congestion over the Christmas and New Year period. So you can back Preston +1 or double chance. They're both same thing, 2-1. Alternatively, Arsenal will probably end up winning. You know, they're still going to be a short price to win the match, and with Walcott unlikely to play and Giroud banging him in, he's a good price at 7-2, or Lucas Perez might be another one at 9-2. The two of them Dutch for first goal scorers 6-4 as well.
Okay. Henry, are you optimistic about this?
No, not really. I certainly wouldn't be backing Arsenal at that price. I think it'd be, like Ed said, a heavily weakened side. Like Serene Adelaide, Maitland-Niles will come in. I think obviously Cazorla's injured, Elneny's gone to the African nations, so Xhaka and Coquelin have played a lot of games, so I think they'll be rested there. I like over 2.5 goals. 8 of Arsenal's last 11 games have been at least 3 goals. 7 of Preston's last 12. And I think Preston have got problems to cause Arsenal. So we've got players to cause Arsenal problems at the back. So that'd be my way of getting into it.
Okay, what are Preston like, Mark, for you? What sort of team? I always have them down as a bit of a dour side, as a throwback to the Moyes days.
I mean, they're pretty difficult to beat, actually. I mean, Simon Grayson has them reasonably well organised. They're the sort of team that I quite like to lay the when they're playing somebody away to. I mean, I laid Sheffield Wednesday erroneously, as it turned out, when they were at home to Preston. But I mean, and they were hammered by Leeds. But before that, I mean, they'd had a really good run where the only team that had beaten them were like Newcastle for a while in the Championship. They went to Norwich and won. I think they've got enough to cause Arsenal some issues. I was looking at Arsenal to win by 1 goal as maybe the best way into it. Arsene Wenger's got a brilliant record at not losing to giant killings. Absolutely phenomenal record in terms of the FA Cup with that. And I don't think a draw does either team particular favours, particularly Arsenal. So I was looking at laying Arsenal, and then I thought, well, with 20 minutes to go, I wouldn't be surprised if they then maybe loaded up to get the job done. So Arsenal to win by 1 goal in a game that looks very tricky to me.
Okay, thank you. Let's get the best bets of round 3 of the FA Cup.
This will not be beaten.
Apparently, we've had a clean sweep of best bets for 2 weeks in a row. That's what happens when I go on holiday. Well done, everyone. That's excellent. Can we go for the hat trick? Ed Quigley, kick us off.
Mine's actually in League 2, and it's tonight as well. So mine's Doncaster draw no better at evens tonight against Pompey.
Pompey are getting smashed, aren't they?
They're absolutely shortening like a mad thing. I just think the price is ridiculous at this stage. Doncaster are unbeaten at home. They have the best home record in the division. Pompey do have a good away record, and they are improving the last few weeks as well. But I just think that it looks way too big to me.
Okay, so it's the Doncaster or draw double chance to kick us off, and that's tonight, Thursday in brackets. Mark Langdon, what's your best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, I'm away from the FA Cup as well, Bruce. I'm in League 1. And it's a lay of Sheffield United to Southend or draw double chance. I mean,
at Roots Hall?
Yeah, it's at Roots Hall. I mean,
you going?
It depends how much work I can get done earlier on the Saturday. I would certainly like to go just to see Sheffield United, because they're my tip to win League 1. And they're absolutely flying. They've won 5 in a row. But I just think that they're too short odds on against a Southend team unbeaten in 10. In that run, they've beaten Bradford by 3-0. And just Sheffield, some of their recent results, they got a last-minute winner against Northampton, a really late winner at Coventry. Obviously, it's a good trait to have, but I'm not sure that they're all conquering, all dominant. They should be odds on to beat a very streetwise Southend, a physical team. Looks like Rangers fit as well. So, Ranger and Cox up front. We'll definitely test out Sheffield back 3.
Henry?
Well, you can't say this team without saying your boys, Bruce. So it is your boys, Palace at Bolton. Bolton have lost James Henry and Sammy Amiobi. Both their loan deals expired, and they've been two of their best players this season, so they're going to be weakened. Sam Allardyce is going back to a scene of his former glories, and I do expect Palace to rest players, but I do think Allardyce will want to get Palace rolling for the rest of the season. So I expect him to. I got Bolton supporting mate, and I texted him and said, "Would there be like a big crowd, big atmosphere for Allardyce coming back?" And he basically just said no. So that was my only concern about that. So yeah, I think Palace sort of even money look a good bet to me.
Right, well that's a slight problem because I was going to go for Bolton. So I'm on the Paddy Power app. I'm going to go for Bournemouth at 4-5 to win at Millwall. So to summarise then, it's the Doncaster or draw double chance tonight.
Donny draw no bet. I think.
Donny draw no bet for Ed, and that's tonight. Mark is going for Southend or the draw in their game against Sheffield United. Henry, very optimistic, is going for Palace to win at Bolton, and I'm going for Bournemouth to win at the New Den. Right, we're back with the Sunday games in just a mo.
Check out Paddy Power's latest football offer. Bet £20 on either team to win in Friday's West Ham v Man City FA Cup match and get a £5 free bet for every goal they score. Not available in shops. T&Cs apply. 18+. Gambleware.co.uk.
Hi there, Bruce Millington, Henry Hardwick and Mark Langdon from the Racing Post are joined by Ed Quigley from Paddy Power, and we're going to look at two live Sunday FA Cup games starting at 1:30. Mark's already touched upon it. Liverpool v Plymouth. How bad is this draw that is a live game? Liverpool going to be very, very short indeed. Just how short, Ed Quigley?
7's on, Bruce. 13-2 to draw and 16-1 Plymouth.
We'll stick with you for the tip. What's going to happen?
Yeah, again, Plymouth seem to be outdoing themselves in League Two. I mean, their SP prices suggest they should be a bit further down in terms of league positions.
Explain what you mean by SP prices for people who don't understand.
Just what they're rated in Asia and what they're who they're rated better than. Like, I mean, Portsmouth are rated the best team in that league. I suppose Doncaster are probably rated the second best. Plymouth to be rated about 5th, 6th, and I think they're currently in 2nd or 3rd, one or the other anyway. But so yeah, they are outdoing themselves at the minute. So Liverpool will win this. Just question how much. I think Liverpool -2 at 5-4 looks more than fair. Origi looks like Origi might start up front as well. 4-1 could be cracking betting him. He's at any time price as well as 5-6, 16-5 2 or more. They're all really good bets considering Sturridge has got injured again.
So Liverpool to win by more than 2 goals and Ward Divock to get the first goal. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, I've got Origi written down as well. Sturridge hobbled off, didn't he, in that last game against Sunderland? I mean, Origi's got 7 in 21. When you consider, a few of those have been bench appearances, he's done really well when he's been given his limited opportunities. Looks like he'll play as the centre forward, really, for a team that's long odds on. I thought 4-1 with Paddy Power each way. Look like the best bet by a long way, really, in this game. And what has to be said, there aren't many good bets.
Sturridge hobbled off. Where have I heard that before? Henry, what's going to happen here?
I think Plymouth can keep it a bit relatively tight. Under 2.5 goals would be my way of playing. They've only conceded 4 goals in the last 7 matches. The game against Yeovil was called off on Saturday, so they should be well rested coming into this game. As opposed to Liverpool have had a hectic schedule, and they rested a lot of players against Leeds in the Capital One Cup, whatever it's called, Carling Cup, whatever it is. Probably ain't that, but
EFL Cup.
EFL Cup,
yeah. Neither.
Yeah. And also they are away to Southampton that competition in midweek, and then they've got United next weekend, Liverpool. So I expect a heavily weakened Liverpool side, and in that case, I think Plymouth can stay competitive, and under 2.5 goals looks the way to go.
Alrighty, at 4:00 it's Tottenham versus Aston Villa, and Ed, take it away again. Another short one.
Yeah, another short one, Bruce. Yeah, it's 4's on Spurs, 9-2 the draw, and Villa are 9-1. I fancy Spurs for the competition, so obviously I fancy them here too. Just one thing as well on Villa, Khadija is gone. Khadija and AU are gone to the AFCON, and Gested's gone to Borough. Ross McCormack's having a pretty poor season so far by his standards, and Villa are only averaging a goal a game in the Championship. I think Spurs will definitely keep a clean sheet here, so you could back both teams to score no at 8-11, or Spurs to win to 0, which is the way I'll be playing at 11-10. Again, a goal score bet. Son will probably get the nod up front, I think, and at 7-2 he makes appeal there too.
Okay, Villa are wobbling, aren't they, Mark?
Yeah, they're a very average Championship team at the moment. I mean, again,
it looked like Brucey was getting a tune out of them, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I think he did initially, but there are problems there that just seem to be deep rooted. Really, it's going to take a long time, I think, to sort out the mess that's sort of been. It's been a bit like if Sunderland go down. I don't think it'd be necessarily an easy job to get them up because just been Villa.
You've got to remember they were so bad last year. We've almost forgotten that.
And also, I mean, also before that they were a really bad team as well, even when they didn't go down. So. I mean, you strip out the name Aston Villa and just sort of look at what they've produced the last couple of years. I mean, they are just looking like an average Championship team. I mean, obviously Spurs should win. I was just looking at Sissoko, anytime goal scorer in this game. He's playing really well when he's been starting for Tottenham in the last month or so. And he's been, when they've played the three at the back, they played the three at the back against Hull, and he was getting forward a lot from that position. I had a few shots in that game, kind of played in the Eriksen position, if you sort of imagine what they did last night against Chelsea. I think he'll probably play in that position again, and he'd be the one for me.
Henry, who for you?
I think Spurs will win this, but I think it might take them a little bit of time to break down Villa. So I'd go for a draw, Spurs on the double result. I mean, Spurs have rested a lot of players in cup competitions, including the Champions League. So you expect a weakened side here. And Villa, you know, for all of, they've lost quite a lot of players recently, obviously to the African nations and transfers. They've only lost 3 of the last 14 games, and they don't concede that many goals. So I expect them to at least be able to maybe keep it tight till half time, and then Spurs will probably prove to be too strong. But yeah, I like draw Spurs double result.
The Monday night live FA Cup game concluding the third round takes place at 8 o'clock. Is it the Abbey Stadium still, or have they probably changed the name now, haven't they? Anyway, it's what used to be called the Abbey Stadium. It's Cambridge United versus Leeds United. You can imagine the scenes in the town centre on Monday as the students cycle around the beautiful town and the Leeds fans gather to get oiled up before kick-off. Cambridge v Leeds, is this a potential upset, Ed Quigley?
So the prices are at the minute, Cambridge are 13-5, the draw is 12-5, and Leeds are 11-10. I've no massive opinion here myself. Leeds obviously going great guns late. I reckon that Kemar Roofe will probably start. He knows how to score goals at this level. He got 18 for Oxford United last season in League 2. He's available at 13 to do first goal score, or 21-10 anytime. I think that's value if he starts.
Ed's going to hit the roof. What are you going to do, Mark?
I'm going to wait for the teams. I've got a feeling that Leeds could rest. They did in the early rounds of the League Cup. It didn't stop them, of course, because they went far. But I wouldn't want to be on them if we suddenly get sort of a second 11 out from them. But before we know that, I think maybe both teams to score. I mean, Ed's already mentioned Leeds' quality with the likes of Roofe that could come in. Cambridge are going really well in League 2. 1-6 of their last 7. Berry's been scoring a lot of goals. Absolutely hammered Coventry in the last round of this competition. Now, Leeds are better than Coventry, but I think it does show that that they can step up, actually. And this could be a tricky game for Leeds. I'll go both teams to score. Wouldn't want to be back in Leeds until I saw the teams.
Henry, Leeds are going great guns in the Champ, aren't they? What can they do in this game?
I think they'll win. They've won 4 of the last 5. You said flying in the Championship. They eased past Reading 2-0. Quite ruthless, putting 4 past Preston and 3 past Rotherham. And they've got lots of attacking options: Roofe, Wood, Sacco, Dukara, loads of goal scoring options. And that's something I like if you get a better side taking on lower league sides. They've got to have goals in their team for me to wanting to be backing them at short prices. And they look to have it. Cambridge are going well in League 2, but it's a massive step up for them. And I think Leeds will come through this.
Okay. If you're only going to watch one of these 6 live games, chaps, which one would it be, Ed?
West Ham City Friday.
Mark?
West Ham City, yeah.
For now,
It's got to be right, isn't it? I'm going to that.
Oh, yeah.
Making my debut. I never even went when it was the Olympic Stadium, so I'm looking forward to...
Now it's the London Stadium.
Yeah, it's the London Stadium.
Getting the Queen's beforehand, it's a good punt in the Queen's.
No, I'm dry January.
Oh, yeah, right.
Yeah, dry January.
October,
not
dry January.
Yeah,
November.
I do them all. No, I don't do that. Only because I can't grow a moustache. All right then, chaps, thank you very much for your expertise. Thank you very much for watching or listening. We're back next Thursday with another Racing Post football postcast with Paddy Power.
The Football Postcast in association with Paddy Power, the place to bet on football in play with a huge special every weekend.